This is the 3L cable, which you need to master in order to be an advanced Fanny user. It's the second of the 4 advanced cable maneuvers, and you can watch the rest in this playlist after this video. The 3L cable changes Fanny's direction mid-air, whether to the left or to the right. Now, this is very important because it has at least 3 uses. First, this is very useful in moving around the map, especially in those tight corners. Second is to initiate team fights or engage the enemies. Third is to disengage from the enemy, aka just run away. We're gonna look at some specific examples on how to apply this in-game in a real match, but before that, let's go through how to actually do this. In total, you're gonna use 3 cables. The last 2 cables ultimately decides where Fanny goes, and the first cable is actually just a setup for the last 2 cables. For example, your target is here and your Fanny is over here. From this position, you won't be able to do 2 cables towards the target. In order for you to do 2 cables towards the target, you need to be along this path. That's why you need the first cable to bring you along this path so that you can fire 2 cables towards the enemy. Hence, the first cable sets up the next 2 cables. It's the same thing if you want to go to the other side. You fire the first cable as a setup cable and then the 2 cables towards the target. Now let's have a test. Here at top lane, your Fanny is here, and if you want to go to this target, where would you fire the first, second, and third cables? Now, this is the answer. This is also correct, but much harder than the first option because you don't have as much leeway as the first one. Did you get it right? Let me know in the comments below. Here's another quiz. If you want to go to the other side, to the left, where should you fire the cables? If you answer this, or this, then you're right. Now let's do 2 more at bottom lane. If you want to go up from this position, then you need to fire from where? That's right, it's from here, here, and here. So this is the last quiz. You want to go from this position going down, so where would you fire your first, second, and third cables? I'm not gonna show you the answers, write it in the comments below. Now let's look at some in-game examples of the 3L cables, and usually it's used with other combos as well. Rarely it's used on its own. For example, in mid lane, we're gonna use 3L cables to bridge the gap towards Chang'e and 2 cables to go back and finish the job. Next, we use the 3L cables to bring Fanny from the river to bottom lane, and once we're in range, we're gonna use back and forth cables to finish the enemy. Next, we use the 3L cables from the red buff to mid lane to initiate towards Franco and some freestyle to finish the job. The next one is a bit tricky because we're dealing first with Belleric here, but Layla is shooting from the side, so we're gonna use L cables to go towards her position, then do some simple cables to secure the kill, go back to retreat, but Farsa was here, so use 3L cables to go towards Farsa's position. Then our teammates secures the kill. Next, we use the 3L cable to go to the river area and then initiate with 2 cables towards the enemy and then cable out. You can also use 3L cables to secure the Lord. And here are more examples of initiating with 3L cables around the map. And here are some examples of moving around the map. And that includes chasing enemies after a kill. Now here are some examples of escaping using the 3L cables. In this particular case, after we killed Badang using our ultimate, we used the 3L cables on his wall in order to escape. The next two examples shows how you can use the 3L cables to disengage at bottom lane. Sometimes when you have invisible enemies and you're trying to escape from them, you can use multiple 3L cables to confuse them. Sometimes you can use the 3L cables to show off after you got the kill. If you want to learn the 4 advanced Fanny cable techniques, you can watch this playlist, click the links, and see you there.